Ja ću prvo uvod, pa ćemo se onda prebaciti. Marina i ja smo često, mi se znamo od 2016. godine, jel? I ja sam mislio da Marina radi sasvim neki drugi posao, na kraju se ispostavilo da radi mnogo interesantnije stvari koje su lično i meni pomogle da napredujem. I obično nas dvoje komuniciramo na nekom, ja sam ga nazvao bosglišu, jer je to fuzija između bosanskog i engleskog, ali danas ćemo komunicirati na engleskom, pa ću se ja prebaciti in English. Hi Marina, how are you? Everything okay? So, as I was saying, we know each other for almost 5 years now, and you're working at the UNDP, and your title is Chief Governance something, right? Which doesn't actually describe your work exactly. So can you please tell us where you come from, why you're here, and what do you do?
Yeah, you're starting with the most difficult question. But before that, just let me express my pleasure that I'm here today, and thanks to the organizers of the festival. This is really a privilege for me. I see all these inspiring women voiced through the agenda this year, and I'm very humbled to be here today. I hope through this conversation we'll be able to contribute to some interesting ideas and provoking positive change. So yeah, back to your question, Emire. My name is Marina. I come from Bulgaria, and I love photography. I'm a beginner photographer, actually. What inspires me in that is the hidden beauties in people's faces, the different perfect imperfections of nature, of situations around us. So my other passion in life is actually the idea to contribute to making this world a better place. Whoa. And I know that it really sounds like a cliche, and it's not like I'm saying that with this recognition, but that would be actually, I think, that the simplest way to explain my work as development professional. And what I do, I'm putting my knowledge, my skills, my enthusiasm and energy in service of advancing public systems. I'm a governance specialist by background. So I'm helping advance public systems, the way governments work, improving public services, introducing new solutions in government, and then bringing these new perspectives and then new capabilities that would ultimately help more democratic government and in the end improve people's lives. So I came to Bosnia and Herzegovina in 2008. That is a long time. I came for a short time, and here I am after all these years. And today I'm actually calling this country my second home. This is also the homeland of my son, who was born here. So since that time, since 2008, when I came to Bosnia and Herzegovina, I have been working for the United Nations Development Program. First, starting and then working in the area of local government, local development, working with communities at the very grassroots level. And then I began to help the broader UNDP team in formulating our new government projects, important areas of work to help this advancement in the government, in the public sector. And yeah, since very, very recently, I have just taken a new function in UNDP, which is actually titled a leader of the innovation and integration cell.
So the work with government didn't work out, so you had to change your job.
Actually, I see it more of a, a nexus, a combination between my government expertise and a new dimension, which I actually hope to tell all of us more about, and that's the innovation.
Great.
So, yeah, I think that's a very inspiring connectivity, and that with a lot of opportunities. So
Great.
I hope it makes it a little bit clear of what I do.
So you recently changed your position within the UNDP, and you're trying to make this country. I just wanted to make a comment. You came in 2008, and you said like it's been a long time. I said you're fighting with our government, so it's usual to take a long time. Now you're trying to implement the new innovation things into I would say, the system, right? And try to open the system to new ideas that are not, I would say, everyday ideas, which are a little bit unorthodox or something. Can you tell us a little about your approach or the philosophy, how you try to implement all those ideas? And we will talk about them later, I'm sure.
Okay, so another easy question. Okay, so let me make a step back, and then I would like to start with something that happened some years ago in my professional life. I have been blessed with many extraordinary mentors and leaders in my professional life, and one of them, her name is Zahira Virani, certainly one of the most, I would say, brilliant and visionary female leaders I had the pleasure to work with and learn from. She used to call me unicorn. And back then, at the beginning when we were talking, and then I would hear that, it would sound like, to me, like a message of being, like the naive type of flying in the sky, unrealistic person. And I actually went and Googled the meaning of unicorn. And then I found out that in many definitions of this world that we could see online, this is representing somehow positivity, joy, hope, and then kind of the diversity of this world. So today, after so many years have passed, and I gained a lot of experience, went through positive and ups and downs in my professional career, but I go back to that moment and how I recognize that by giving me the space, to be creative, to have the freedom to be untraditional, to use imagination in my work, and actually exercise constantly this positive thinking, Zahira, she kind of consciously cultivated this innovator in me, or as I also call it, the yes and person. I think it is a good summary of what yes and means. And when we speak about innovation in general, it's a very fluid, it's very abstract, and sometimes very difficult to define. For me, I think that the main ingredient of innovation in our daily life, in the way we think, the way in our professional life, is exactly this yes and. And we've heard perhaps many stories of this yes and, but yes, it equals for me to yes, I have an open mind and willingness to try and test new approaches and break my own boundaries and even fail sometimes. And on top of this, here is what extra mile I can walk, and then what value I can add. So yes and kind of originates and means agreeing, and means connecting different ideas. Yeah, it comes from improvisation theater. It comes from like an origin. It comes from the art domain. And, you know, it is an exercise where different actors, they go on stage without a script, without any preparation, without costumes and anything, and they have to make a performance at the moment without knowing, you know, what's ahead of them. So it works exactly, I think, because of this yes and no matter what an actor says on stage, the rest of the group of actors accepts and supports the idea. And they will also at the same time add to it. So yes, and by accepting whatever is contributed on stage at that moment and by adding to it, artists can actually build, and I've witnessed that, like amazing performances, creative performances just out of the blue. So the first time, let me bring down to maybe a little bit more concrete experience how I found out and how I went to such exercise at that time. Plus, I think in 2017, when different representatives from various European cities from the continent, we got together on a creative workshop. And at that time, I remember that one of the exercises was to work in small groups and use exactly this yes and approach to generate innovative ideas and reimagine the cities of the future by, you know, not stopping our imagination, by keeping an open mind and by kind of collaborating in this joint reimagining of the city. Yeah, and we had this one rule at the exercise: you could only respond with yes and build on the idea, build on the original suggestion.
But you can go both ways, right? You can go positive and negative. Yes, right?
Yes, but no, yes, but. You know,
Okay.
that's the core. I'll come back maybe to that a little bit later because we know about yes and because we also know very well about yes but. So what happened during that exercise? I was amazed. You know, the first colleague in our group said, you know, let's design an autonomous boat. You know, a driverless boat that can float in our city. And somehow per se, it's an innovative idea worth testing, worth thinking about. And then the next colleague in our group said yes, and then let's make it electric, powered by renewable sources. And then the next one said yes, and let's make more of those boats and actually transform it into a regular public transport line in the city to reduce the land transport and then reduce the pollution that comes with it. And then the next one said, yeah, and these boats can also be equipped with sensors, you know, so we could at the same time check real time pollution of water. And then the next one said, yeah, and those boats can be grouped into, you know, like a construction of a floating scene, like that we can have on water performances in the evening and so on and so forth. So today, this idea is being picked up and tested in one city in Germany, and in parallel, I know that the very similar approach is also tested in Amsterdam. So I'm trying to say that innovation and this entire approach of yes and is ultimately about having this wider perspective, about allowing this creative collaboration happen. And it takes many to yes and, you know, I cannot yes and alone on my own. So we have to be many of us to engage in this yes and game. And then if we do, and when we do, it really has the power to catalyze positive change and inspire this transformative energy. And of course, there is always the yes, but. And this the yes, but it is, how to say, like the bad twin of yes, and. Because it is the blockage. It is the, I read somewhere that in every one yes, we tend to say at least 100 times no. So by nature, we are more of a no sayers as humans. And then, of course, it is very difficult to say yes, especially when we have new ideas, brave ideas, future-looking ideas that are taking out, that are taking us out of our comfort zone, that are making us feel scared or uncertain how things will evolve. So we tend to say no. And the manifestation of yes and is exactly the opposite of yes but. And when we have the majority of yes kind of but circumstances, it creates a very closed environment, very confining environment where it's extremely difficult to make a change.
Yeah, but let's say, okay, you put yes but and yes and on two sides. Yeah, but I would also say you need only one yes and to go forward. So we are looking for that unicorn yes and so we can go forward, right? And I'm sure that you have a lot of examples from one side and another side. So I'm interested for the audience or for me myself, how this yes but and yes and are implemented in real life, in your work or outside of your work, whatever you think of. I'm sure that you have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, there are a lot of examples indeed, and I tend to focus on the positive ones, on the yes and. So although I had a lot of yes but examples, but for example, having in mind how important innovation is for development in general. In 2019, I was really enthusiastic about the creation of an, let's say, innovation team within UNDP, which today is known as the Accelerator Lab. So this is the first of its type structure in the international community organizations, and it aims to boost the creative capacity of UNDP, of partners, of stakeholders, and somehow to help build this culture of innovation. So we could do things differently. We could bring technology, we could bring foresight, creativity, collective intelligence in service of faster development. And yeah, and then the yes ands started. For example, during now the COVID-19 crisis, the innovation team had the idea to facilitate a kind of a collective ideation that will bring to life solutions and ideas to help address the really new and very complex type of challenges that the pandemic brought. Then we talked to partners from the private sector, one company, about this idea, and then they said yes. And we can create a digital platform, to host this entire process, a national ideation process, and remove the barriers of, we don't have to be physically together. And then the National Association of IT Companies, BIT Alliance in the country said yes, and we can host this initiative and the entire digital platform on an online space that we have just landed. And then partners from international community said yes, and we would like to be on board with you and help with the potential implementation of some of the ideas that will be born through that process. And then university said yes, and we would also like to be on board and make sure that all the young people and enthusiastic students are taking part of this, and so on and so forth. So there were a lot of yes ands. And in the end, this initiative resulted in the first national ideation called COVIDea, like online ideation. It happened in May last year. More than 100 different ideas catalyzed collective action, a lot of positive energy. Some of the winning ideas are already now being implemented, and all of this happened with no budget, no resources behind. So this kind of yes and is very important. Another example, I have this very dear to my heart, which is related to the future city, the smart city pilot initiative in the country. We said at the UNDP, can we be the first one to catalyze and to support the pilot smart city in the country? And then the city of Sarajevo said, yes, we would like to support this idea and also provide co-financing and help you bring citizens on board. And then we got more than 100 professionals from the city in different walks of life coming in together and said, yes, we would like to be part of this. This is also known as the City Mind Lab group. And to contribute to this change, to making the city more livable, more thriving, more healthy. And then we talked about the city of Madrid, and they said, yes, and we can give you an open source platform, to ensure digital collaboration. And so many and yes happened after that moment, and we got this great set of pilot innovative projects that were financed and that are bringing really technology and innovation to solve air quality and public transport in the city. Of course, we saw also a lot of the yes, but in that process, and the skepticism of the administration, often limited legal frameworks that wouldn't allow for disruptive ideas to be implemented. It caused a lot of delay, a lot of yes, buts. But in the end, I think the entire process, I look at it as a very positive process because it has changed many mindsets, and it just helped reduce the distance between yes and yes but.
Yeah.
So this process was then transferred to another city in the country, successfully implemented in Banja Luka with a lot of catalytic effects. So it is a mindset that can drive positive change and experimentation, collaboration. As I said, this does not mean saying yes to everything. I think that's important to differentiate, and to every idea and to everything that is kind of emerging around. But it means keeping an open mind, like keeping your creative perspective and your curiosity and your positive attitude towards a bigger change.
You never know what the idea is, the next one unicorn, right? Well, since we are running out of the time, I would ask you just to, I had several thoughts as you were saying about yes and the UNDP and everything. And me personally, I'm in favor that every city or every country has to have the smart initiative or smart lab or whatever it takes, maybe every municipality or whatever. I don't want to go deeper. So to wrap it up, what are your future visions or innovative experiments in the country that how we can move forward, or what we can do to really fight everything that we have to fight today? Another easy question.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you very much. Wrapping up. Yeah, I would really want to put forward for our joint thinking and consideration this kind of plea that we're not just yes and mentality, and I think we need to see the bigger picture at all times. Just not to see things in fragments and understand how one element of the system would affect the rest of it. So as a start, we need more yes and mentality around us. We need a critical mass of yes and to make a difference, to make a change. And I really wish for this kind of collective capacity that still needs to be created in Bosnia and Herzegovina, that we move to the next level and then see innovation as really part of or an important tool for system change. So innovation is not something that we do randomly, right? Innovation is not accidental. It's not an invention or something that I see a lot happening, and I call it innovation theater. So just like a facelift of something, we put a little bit. Yes. So I think we innovation has a very different power, and it can really catalyze this big change. We know, I wouldn't repeat the sustainable development agenda, and we know that our planet needs to become greener, more sustainable, cleaner, inclusive, and we need to revert these devastating effects of climate change and the impacts on lives on the planet. So we need to change fast. You know, we don't have the time to, you know, the luxury of 10, 15 years of thinking and strategy and how we can move. We need to be fast. We need to think at systems and to change at scale. And this is where innovation, I think, can help us disrupt system and be powerful engine for such transformation. So I think for us, and I would continue to do in the future as part of our innovation team, is to foster, continue to do those experiments, to interconnect, to do the yes and I think we need to, like the arena of our interventions is really wide, but we need to see how we can do, how we can shift towards, for example, circular economy as a by default way of economic action. We need to transform our cities towards green, inclusive, and sustainable ecosystems. We need to change lifestyles in community. And obviously the old blueprints that we have, the old templates and then the approaches, they are not working anymore. So we need new type of thinking and this innovative mindset. And at the heart of this, I believe, is exactly this yes and mindset. I'm certain it can move us fast forward.
And the people, right? Good.
With that mind.
Yeah, I'm sure that half an hour is not enough to say everything that we, well, not everything, just a part of it. But thank you very much for sharing all those ideas and the work that you do, and I want to keep it up, right?
Thank you. Let's be together, and I would invite everyone who is with us today to reflect on this, yes, and consider it.
In everyday life.
Be part of this network.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.